Good morning and welcome to your daily Solo 401k webinar Q&A session with my Solo 401k Financial, where we try to help you stop overpaying taxes and start building real retirement wealth. Today's topic is my Solo 401k plus Fidelity. Open a Solo 401k plan here in 2026 and perform the 2025 Mega Backdoor Roth this year in 2026. Yes, that's right. It's not too late to open a solo 401k plan here in 2026 so that you can make year 2025 voluntary after-tax solo 401k contributions and immediately convert those funds here in 2026 to the Roth solo 401k or the Roth IRA. And all this can be done when you work with my Solo 401k Financial, and we can help you use Fidelity investments to hold the Solo 401k funds. Note that even though we're covering using Fidelity investments to hold the Solo 401k funds, this strategy can also be done at Schwab or other brokerage firms when you utilize a plan from my Solo 401k Financial. That's one of the big differences between my Solo 401k Financial and other third-party Solo 401k plan providers. That is that you get to choose where to hold the Solo 401k funds at. A lot of other institutions steer you towards using their banking firm or brokerage firm, whereas here at my Solo 401k Financial, we view this as being your funds, your retirement plan. Therefore, you should choose where to hold the funds at. And that's one of the reasons we're so popular on the institutional side with advisors, because advisors typically clear through different brokerage firms. So they use that particular brokerage firm to hold the solo 401k funds, whether at Fidelity Investments on the institutional side, Schwab on the institutional side, Wells Fargo on the institutional side, or even Altruist or any other brokerage firm for that matter. So this is your chance to ask questions on today's topic or any other topic for that matter. Type them over now so we can be sure to get to them all. I see we already have a bunch queued up here, so we'll go over those and then we'll transition to today's topic, which again is it's not too late to open a solo 401k with my solo 401k and use Fidelity Investments to hold the solo 401k funds so that you can perform the Mega Backdoor Roth solo 401k contribution and conversion for tax year 2025 here in 2026. So that alone is great news for those that thought that it was too late to open a solo 401k plan so that they can perform the Mega Backdoor Roth Solo 401k for tax year 2025. So let's take a look at some questions. On the partial transfer of Roth Solo 401k to Roth IRA form, it still asks for the amount transferred in 2025. But my transfer occurred on January 2nd of 2026. Employee Roth, age-related catch-up, and applies to 2026. If I complete the form now, will this be treated as a 2026 Form 1099-R and issued in early 2027 based on the actual transfer date, or should I wait until the form is updated for 2026? So we are in the process of updating our online conversion forms on the form page of our website. For those who do not have a plan with us and are exploring opening a plan, here at my Solo 401k Financial, we perform the Form 1099-R reporting for conversions and distributions. And also we perform Form 5500 easy reporting. We perform those reports and prepare those reports and file them with the government upon your request. So that's what this question surrounds. So you can go ahead and complete the current online form because we're going to know the year that the conversion is for by by referring to the date of conversion field on the form. We should have those online forms completed by the end of this week. But if you want to go ahead and submit it now, you can, because again, we're going to know the year that the conversion was processed by referring to the date of conversion field. Let's take a look at some other questions here. On my 2024 Form 1099-R for a partial Roth Solo 401k to Roth IRA rollover, box 7 shows a code H, and box 2A is 0, but box 5 is blank. My understanding is that box 5 normally reports the employee after-tax Roth basis recovered tax-free. Could you explain why box 5 may be blank here and whether Roth 401k contribution basis is typically reported in box 5 for a Roth to Roth rollover? Let me pull up a W-2 here. Let me go online here. Give me a moment here. Or I'll pull up a 1099-R, I mean. Give me a moment here. And let's see if I can share my screen as well. Okay, let's take a look at this 1099-R here. So you did a transfer from the Roth Solo 401k to the Roth IRA. So box 1 would list the amount, so the gross amount transferred. So this box right here. Taxable amount, 2A is going to be 0 because obviously when you transfer from a Roth Solo 401k to a Roth IRA, it's considered a direct rollover. It's not considered a distribution. So 2A is going to be 0. As far as the code, let's double check the code here. So yes, it's going to be a code H in box 7. So unlike using a code G applies if you transfer pre-tax solo 401k funds to a traditional IRA. Here, you transferred Roth solo 401k funds to a Roth IRA. So that's why code H would be used in box number 7. And then, let's see here, box 5, employee contributions, designated Roth contributions or insurance premiums. That box 5, it's not a requirement to list an amount in box 5. That box 5 is typically reserved for reporting voluntary after-tax solo 401k contributions. Because voluntary after-tax solo 401k contributions don't get reported anywhere on your tax return. So they get reported in that box 5. So Roth solo 401k contributions are not required to be reported in that box 5. That's optional. So I think that's what your question deals with. Hopefully that answers your question. So it's an optional. It's not a requirement to list Roth solo 401k contributions in box 5. Let me stop sharing this screen here. Give me a moment. Okay, back to my slides here. Here's another question. Now that I have a solo 401k, can I still hire part-time employees, interns? At max, they will be employed for 1 semester, 4 months at 20 to 30 hours per week. I did look at a forum post on this topic, but wanted to be extra careful. Great question. So from an ongoing eligibility perspective, there are 2 rules to be aware of that would impact whether or not you can continue with that solo 401k plan. The first rule is if you hire full-time W-2 employees. And keep in mind that these rules do not apply to anyone who's under age 21. Because if you hire a W-2 employee who's under age 21, you can always exclude those individuals regardless of how many hours they work from participating in the plan. So if you do employ W-2 employees who are age 21 or older, there's the full-time W-2 employer rule, which means that if you hire a W-2 employee and he or she works a total of 1,000 hours during their 12-month period of employment, then you're going to have to close the plan down and transfer it to an IRA or convert that plan to a full-time employer plan and then offer that plan to that what's referred to as a common law W-2 employee, which is another way of saying an employee who is not an owner in the business. It looks like you're not going to have that issue here because if this individual is only working 4 months out of the year, I don't see how that individual is going to work 1,000 hours or more during that 12-month period. The second rule is the part-time employment rule. So if you hire a W-2 employee who works for 2 consecutive 12-month periods where they work between 500 and 999 hours, then you're going to have to offer the plan to that W-2 employee, which means you would have to convert the plan to a full-time employer plan, or if you no longer want to sponsor a 401k plan, you can transfer the funds to an IRA. So I don't think you're going to end up falling under that rule either. But again, that part-time rule is that if you hire a W-2 employee, he or she has to work for 2 consecutive 12-month periods in that business and work between 500 and 999 hours for each of those 2 years. And I'm going to share a link from our website that sheds more light on the part-time and W-2 employee eligibility rule. Give me a moment here while I dig that up here. I just showed a link to a web page on our website that covers the rules of when you need to close a solo 401k plan, which also includes information regarding if your business hires a full-time W-2 employee or if it hires a W-2 employee who works those 2 consecutive 12-month periods of 500 to 999 hours. Let's see here. Here's a question here. For single member S Corp with 500,000 income and 125,000 salary, is it better to fill up max contributions to Roth 401k component with employer contributions to avoid FICA taxes before filing the rest to hit the max of 70,000 for 2025 with after-tax elective contributions? So contributions to the solo 401k plan when the business is taxed as an S corporation or C corporation is going to be based on your gross W-2 wages. Regarding making employer contributions, is it better to fill up the max contribution to the Roth 401k? So yes, you can make the Roth solo 401k contributions as employee contributions or as employer Roth solo 401k contributions. And then when you make those employer Roth solo 401k contributions, it's going to be treated as a taxable in-plan conversion on the personal side. So it is going to reduce the payroll tax on the S corporation side because it's an employer contribution. However, it's going to be treated as a taxable in-plan conversion on the personal side. So whether you make them as employer contributions, employer pre-tax contributions, or employer Roth solo 401k contributions, it's going to reduce the taxable income on the business side, but it is going to be treated as a taxable in-plan conversion. Can you please describe the process of opening a solo 401k in 2026 or 2025 Mega Backdoor Roth in detail? Can it still be done for an LLC tax as a partnership, husband and wife? Good question, and this transitions to today's topic. So let's transition to today's topic, and then we'll come back and take a look at some more questions here. So again, today we're breaking down exactly how to open a solo 401k plan in 2026 in order to make the 2025 Mega Backdoor Roth contributions. Many professionals miss this opportunity because of year-end setup deadlines, but I'm going to walk you through the exact steps and deadlines and how to do this at Fidelity using my solo 401k financial. And as I mentioned earlier, it doesn't have to be done at Fidelity. You can use a different brokerage firm like Schwab or any other brokerage firm that will hold voluntary after-tax solo 401k funds, because my solo 401k financial is the plan provider. So let's take a look at some slides here. So those of you that missed opening the solo 401k plan by December 31st of 2025, it's not too late to still open a solo 401k plan here in 2026 so that you can make contributions to the solo 401k as voluntary after tax for tax year 2025. So we're going to go over solo 401k eligibility, the Mega Backdoor Roth, the setup in 2026 so that you can utilize it for making tax year 2025 contributions, and how to utilize it using my solo 401k financial in conjunction with Fidelity Investments. We're going to go over some contribution examples. We're going to continue answering your questions here. So in order to open a solo 401k plan, you have to make sure you're eligible, which means you need to be self-employed in a business. So it needs to be an owner-only business where you are the owner and the employee in the business. You also cannot employ any full-time W-2 employees who are age 21 or older and work 1,000 hours or more in your business. So if you have an employee already who's a W-2 and he or she is not an owner in your business, and that individual is a full-time employee in your business, meaning he or she works 1,000 hours or more, that means you cannot open a solo 401k plan. Of course, if you don't employ any full-time W-2 employees, then yes, you can open a solo 401k plan, and both you and your spouse can participate in the same solo 401k plan as long as you're both working in the same self-employed business. Any entity type can sponsor a solo 401k, whether a sole proprietorship, partnership, S corporation, C corporation, LLC taxes, S corp, partnership, or sole proprietorship. When you're utilizing the Mega Backdoor Roth solo 401k strategy, you need to open a self-directed solo 401k plan. And that's the type of plan that we offer here at my solo 401k financial. So the Mega Backdoor Roth solo 401k strategy is where you make voluntary after-tax solo 401k contributions to the after-tax solo 401k holding account, and then you convert those funds to the Roth solo 401k or the Roth IRA. This is an example of a one participant plan. Let's say, for example, your self-employed business is taxed as a partnership. So when your self-employed business is taxed as a partnership, whether a partnership or an LLC taxed as a partnership, and if you're trying to make voluntary after-tax solo 401k contributions for tax year 2025, and you did not set up that plan by December 31st of 2025, you still have time to set up that plan here in 2026, I should say, so that you can make voluntary after-tax solo 401k contributions. And then you're going to be able to convert those to the Roth solo 401k. So here, this is let me share my screen here for the partnership here, since your question deals with the partnership. Give me a moment here and we'll take a look at that slide and we can talk about the year 2025 setup deadline for a partnership. Give me a moment here. And we're going to go over the deadlines for sole proprietorships and S corporations. So this here deals with the partnership. So with the partnership, it's too late to make employee contributions for tax year 2025 if you did not open that solo 401k plan by December 31st of 2025. However, it is not too late to open a solo 401k plan here in 2026 so that you can make voluntary after-tax solo 401k contributions for tax year 2025 and then convert those to the Roth solo 401k or the Roth IRA. So with the partnership, you have until March 15 of 2026 to open the solo 401k plan and make your 2025 voluntary after-tax solo 401k contributions. If you file a Form 1065 partnership tax return extension, you can actually open the solo 401k plan by September 15 of 2026 and make the voluntary after-tax solo 401k contribution by that same date for tax year 2025. So in review, it is too late to open a solo 401k plan for making employee solo 401k contributions if your business is taxed as a partnership. However, it is not too late to open a solo 401k plan here in 2026 if you want to make voluntary after-tax solo 401k contributions for tax year 2025. As this slide here displays, you have until March 15 of 2026 or until September 15 of 2026 to both open and fund that solo 401k plan so that you can make voluntary after-tax solo 401k contributions for tax year 2025 here in tax year 2026. And you have the Secure Act 2.0 to thank for all of this. The Secure Act 2.0 changed the regulations regarding the contribution deadlines and the plan setup. So these are the rules that apply for a partnership. And you can take a look at this page here on our website for more information on that deadline. Let me share that link with you here. So here's the link. Now let's keep talking about the setup deadline for making voluntary after-tax solo 401k contributions when your business is taxed as an S corporation or as a sole proprietorship. We just went over a partnership deadline for the Mega Backdoor Roth strategy. That is making voluntary after-tax solo 401k contributions that would then be converted to the Roth solo 401k or the Roth IRA. So before we get to that slide there, what makes the Mega Backdoor Roth so powerful? Well, you can contribute a lot more to a voluntary after-tax solo 401k as part of the Mega Backdoor Roth strategy than you can to a Roth IRA. The Roth IRA limits are a lot less. With the Mega Backdoor Roth Solo 401k, for example, for tax year 2025, you can contribute all the way up to your overall limit of $70,000 as a voluntary after-tax solo 401k contribution, and then immediately convert it to the Roth Solo 401k or the Roth IRA. So if you're trying to utilize the Mega Backdoor Roth Solo 401k plan for tax year 2025 and you have not yet opened that solo 401k plan and you want to utilize it for tax year 2025, you need to make sure you open that solo 401k plan here in 2026 by your business tax return due date, including extension. And then you're going to be able to fund the plan for tax year 2025. That is, make voluntary after-tax solo 401k contributions for tax year 2025, and then convert those as well in 2026. So you can make both the voluntary after-tax solo 401k contribution for tax year 2025 here in 2026 by your business tax return due date, including business tax return extension, and also perform the Mega Backdoor Roth Solo 401k conversion here in 2026. So for an S corporation or an LLC tax as an S corporation, let's talk about the funding deadline for those voluntary after-tax solo 401k contributions. So for an S corporation, just like a partnership, you have until March 15 of 2026 to open that solo 401k plan, if you haven't yet opened it, so that you can make tax year 2025 voluntary after-tax solo 401k contributions. If you file a timely 1120S S Corporation tax return extension, you're going to have an extra 6 months. So you would have until September 15 of 2026 to open the solo 401k plan and make voluntary after-tax solo 401k contributions for tax year 2025. So you have plenty of time. It's only January. So you have till March 15 or September 15 if you file an extension to both open that solo 401k plan so that you can make tax year 2025 voluntary after-tax solo 401k contributions. Now let's talk about it as sole proprietorship or an LLC tax as a sole proprietorship. So with the sole proprietorship, you have until April 15 of 2026 to open a solo 401k plan so that you can make tax year 2025 voluntary after-tax solo 401k contributions here in 2026. If you file a personal Form 1040 tax return, then you're going to have an extra 6 months. You're going to have until October 15 to both open the solo 401k plan and make voluntary after-tax solo 401k contributions for tax year 2025. So you'll have until October 15 of tax year 2026 to make tax year 2025 voluntary after-tax solo 401k contributions. So why Fidelity in my solo 401k financial? Well, Fidelity does not provide a solo 401k plan that allows for the Mega Backdoor Roth solo 401k strategy. However, Fidelity does provide what they refer to as non-prototype company retirement brokerage accounts, also known as holding accounts, for a solo 401k plan offered by my solo 401k financial. We've helped our clients open up thousands of accounts over at Fidelity, that is brokerage accounts, for the self-directed solo 401k offered by my solo 401k financial. As a matter of fact, we were the first in the industry to offer the Mega Backdoor Roth solo 401k starting in tax year 2013. So we've processed thousands of Mega Backdoor Roth solo 401k conversions, and our clients have used Fidelity investments to hold those solo 401k funds for the plan offered by my solo 401k financial. And Fidelity understands that it's my solo 401k financial that performs the reporting for the Mega Backdoor Roth solo 401k conversion that is issued in the form 1099-R. And we're the ones that offer that solo 401k plan that allows for voluntary after-tax solo 401k contributions, as well as conversion of those funds to the Roth solo 401k or the Roth IRA. So while Fidelity Investments also offers their own solo 401k, they will also provide holding accounts, aka brokerage accounts, for the solo 401k offered by my solo 401k financial that comes with all the bells and whistles, as I like to say, that allow for not only the Mega Backdoor Roth solo 401k strategy, but also solo 401k participant loans. You can also make employer Roth solo 401k contributions. You can also process in-plan conversions of pre-tax solo 401k funds to the Roth solo 401k plan. You can also self-direct it into alternative investments like physical real estate, whether farmland, rental properties, commercial real estate, trust deeds, aka promissory notes secured by real estate, tax liens, precious metals, whether silver or gold. I know silver and gold are, the value of silver and gold has tremendously gone up here in the last 24 months, and it looks like it's continuing its uptrend. You can also invest in cryptocurrency. So, and also the solo 401k offered by my solo 401k financial comes with the $1,500 auto contribution credit, which is a way of the government subsidizing the cost of a self-employed individual who opens a solo 401k plan for many years. So when you open a self-directed solo 401k from my solo 401k financial, we're going to help you open up the brokerage accounts at Fidelity. Again, you can use other brokerage firms. Today we're honing in on Fidelity Investments, but we can also utilize Charles Schwab or any other brokerage firm out there that will be willing to hold solo 401k funds offered by a third-party solo 401k provider like my solo 401k financial. And so we'll help you to open up those holding accounts for the solo 401k. Let me pull up the slide that talks about the various holding accounts. So here's an example of a one participant plan. So that's a two participant plan. Here's one for a one participant plan. So in this example, let's say your self-employed business is a partnership. So the partnership sponsors the solo 401k plan, similar to a full-time employer 401k, such as one offered by Amazon. Amazon would sponsor that full-time employer 401k. Here, for someone who's self-employed in a partnership, their partnership would sponsor the solo 401k plan. If you're the only partner in that business and you don't employ any full-time W-2 employees in that partnership, then you would qualify to open a solo 401k plan. And that solo 401k plan is a defined contribution plan, meaning that you need to have separate holding accounts, aka brokerage accounts, to hold the different fund sources, such as pre-tax, Roth, and voluntary after-tax. So we would help you open up the brokerage accounts at Fidelity Investments. For a one participant plan, they can be opened online. So you don't even have to leave your home to open up those brokerage accounts online with Fidelity once we draft that plan and provide you with the necessary documents. And then if you want to make these various contribution types, or if you want to transfer a former employer plan or a traditional IRA, then those would be transferred to the pre-tax solo 401k holding account. And then if you want to make voluntary after-tax solo 401k contributions, those would get deposited into the voluntary after-tax solo 401k brokerage account, and then they would get converted to the Roth solo 401k brokerage account. So you would end up with just one plan that allows for these various contribution types. So one plan, three separate brokerage accounts to hold these various fund sources and for performing the conversions. Here's an example of a two-participant plan. Let's say you and your spouse are both self-employed in the same partnership. So it's considered just one plan because remember, the plan is sponsored by the business. So if your self-employed business is a partnership, it's going to be sponsored by the partnership. You and your spouse are both working in that same partnership. So we would help you open up 6 separate holding accounts, aka brokerage accounts at Fidelity to hold your funds. All these brokerage accounts don't have to be opened up immediately, especially if you're not planning to make pre-tax solo 401k contributions. Those can be opened up later, but they can all be opened up at the time that we help you open up the plan, and we'll prepare these Fidelity brokerage forms, because if the account has multiple participants, then forms will need to be completed. Fidelity brokerage forms will need to be completed, and then we'll go ahead and help you submit those to Fidelity. So in short, this is an example of a 2-participant plan with a total of 6 holding accounts, 3 separate holding accounts for each spouse. This is an example of a 1-participant plan where the individual is the only person who's self-employed in the business, so he or she would have 3 separate holding accounts to hold their respective fund sources. Let's go back over here. So again, we would help you open up the brokerage accounts at Fidelity. Now, when you make the voluntary after-tax solo 401k contribution, you can convert that to the Roth solo 401k or the Roth IRA. So if you have a Roth IRA at Fidelity, they can be converted to the Roth IRA at Fidelity. We find that most clients like to convert to the Roth solo 401k plan because they want to consolidate their plan, their funds under one plan. And they can also borrow from a solo 401k plan. You can borrow from an IRA. You can also invest the Roth solo 401k in real estate. Whereas with the Roth IRA, you typically cannot invest in physical real estate unless you open up a self-directed Roth IRA. Also, a Roth solo 401k is now subject to require minimum distributions anymore. It used to be that you had to take required minimum distributions from a Roth solo 401k. Well, with the passage of Secure Act 2.0, you no longer are required to make required minimum distributions from your Roth solo 401k. So that's another big reason why we find that individuals do not convert their voluntary after-tax solo 401k funds to a Roth IRA, but rather to the Roth solo 401k. But again, it's your funds, it's your retirement account. Here at my solo 401k financial, we let you choose where to hold the funds and how to self-direct the plan, and therefore, whether you want to convert the voluntary after-tax solo 401k funds to the Roth IRA or the Roth solo 401k, you get to choose. Now, the contribution limits for tax year 2025, the overall contribution limit is $70,000. So there's a few options you can go about it. So you could make the $70,000 overall contribution as a voluntary after-tax solo 401k contribution, and you can convert that entire $70,000 to the Roth solo 401k. Or if you already have a solo 401k plan, meaning that you opened it by December 31st of 2025, then you can make employee contributions. If you open it by December 31st of 2025, but if you're opening it up for the first time here in 2026, and your business is taxed as an S corporation or a partnership, then it's too late to make employee contributions. But you can certainly make voluntary after-tax solo 401k contributions for 2025 here in 2026 when you open the plan. And you can, again, contribute the entire $70,000 overall limit to the voluntary after-tax solo 401k holding account and convert that to the Roth solo 401k or the Roth IRA. And we talked about how you can convert that voluntary after-tax solo 401k contribution to the Roth solo 401k or the Roth IRA. And again, here at my solo 401k financial, we'll handle the reporting for that conversion as long as you timely request that Form 1099-R because we don't have access to your funds. So you need to communicate to us when you file that conversion, and we have an online conversion form you would complete so that we collect the necessary information to issue that Form 1099-R. Now, of course, voluntary after-tax solo 401k contributions are not deductible, so they don't reduce your taxable income for the year, but the trade-off is that once you convert into the Roth solo 401k, all those gains are going to grow tax-free. So here are my solo 401k financials, as I've already discussed a few times. Not only do we provide a plan document that allows for the Mega Backdoor Roth solo 401k strategy, we'll also shepherd you through opening up the brokerage accounts for the solo 401k at Fidelity Investments or any other brokerage firm. We'll help you to transfer IRAs, former employer plan funds, by completing those transfer forms. That's all covered in our annual fee. We'll also perform Form 1099-R reporting upon your timely request. We also will perform Form 5500 easy reporting, which applies once the market value of your solo 401k plan is greater than $250,000 as of the end of the plan year. We'll prepare and file that electronically with the government. You just need to make sure you timely request that from us. And you can go to the Forms tab of our website to both pull up the form to request the Form 5500 easy preparation and Form 1099-R preparation. Let me share that link with you here to that Forms tab. There's the link there. Okay, let's see if we have any more questions for now. Now, keep in mind, we'll be going live again here in a few hours, so you can always ask your questions at that time if we don't get to them all. Now, if this information is making you feel confident about your future, please take a moment to like and subscribe across our various social media platforms and subscribe to our YouTube channel. This helps us get the word out to other solopreneurs like yourself, and it helps to grow this community. And it also guarantees by subscribing that you're going to receive notifications when we go live with crucial content like this. So let's see if we have some questions here. I live in Massachusetts. I was wondering about this community property aspect. That doesn't have any impact on the solo 401k. California is also a community property state. There are many states, as you probably already know, that are considered community property states. But if you're in a community property state, you're going to want to make sure that you understand that the beneficiary of that solo 401k is going to be the spouse. The primary beneficiary is the spouse of the solo 401k, which means that upon your death, your spouse would have access or would receive the solo 401k funds, and he or she can transfer those to her own IRA, a spousal IRA. Well, it's not really a spousal IRA. She would treat it as her own IRA. He or she would treat it as his or her own IRA. So, but you can always have your spouse opt out of being the primary beneficiary of your solo 401k. The beneficiary form that we provide, he or she would sign to opt out of being the primary beneficiary of the account. As far as another question here, can we have accounts with both Fidelity and Schwab for the same plan? I understand managing accounts of multiple brokerage forms may be challenging, but other than that, is it allowed? Yeah, you can certainly have separate brokerage accounts for the solo 401k plan offered by my solo 401k financial. You can have separate brokerage accounts at multiple brokerage firms, in this case, both Fidelity and Schwab. It's still considered one plan. That doesn't mean you have multiple solo 401k plans, because the plan would still be offered by my solo 401k financial, but you would use the respective brokerage firms to hold the funds for the solo 401k plan. Okay. So keep in mind that the solo 401k offered by my solo 401k financial also comes with the auto contribution credit. The $1,500 auto contribution credit is is included in the plan documents that we draft. Now, not all solo 401k providers provide a solo 401k plan with the auto contribution credit. We were actually the first in the industry to offer it. But now we've seen a lot of other competitors who are finally coming on board and actually offering it, which is good, because this is a way for self-employed individuals to effectively open a solo 401k plan and have it subsidized by the government as far as the cost of having a solo 401k plan for many years to come. Now, traditional firms like Fidelity and Schwab don't yet provide a solo 401k plan with the auto contribution credit, but as I've stated already, you can utilize any brokerage firm, whether Fidelity or Schwab or any other brokerage firm, for a solo 401k plan offered by my solo 401k financial, which does come with that auto contribution credit built into it. It's a dollar for dollar credit, and you spread it out over a 3-year period in $500 increments. So with these tax credits, the cost of both opening and maintaining a solo 401k plan will be covered for years to come. And because it's a credit, it's going to reduce your business taxable income on a dollar for dollar basis. So it's better than a business expense. Once this auto contribution feature is added to your plan, you can opt out of contributing, and you're not required to contribute, and you can still contribute in whichever amount you want up to the overall limit, which is $70,000 for tax year 2025. Now, the auto contribution credit would be added to the plan here in 2026. So you would qualify for the auto contribution credit here in 2026, even though you can make contributions for voluntary after tax for tax year 2025 here in 2026. For the auto contribution credit, since the plan is being open in 2026, the auto contribution credit would be effective for tax year 2026. So the first $500 credit amount would be claimed on your 2026 tax return that's due next year in 2027, and you would file Form 8881, and you would list $500 as the amount of the credit. And then the second $500 amount would be claimed for the 2027 tax return, and the final one with the 2028 tax return, tax year return. So $500 for 3 consecutive years for a total of $1,500. So you would file that Form 8881 a total of 3 times, once each year. And we do have a PowerPoint and a video presentation that walks you through how to fill out that form that we would share with you. So again, please visit on my community where we have over 32,000 members. You can post forums out there. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel where we have over 1,100 videos. Please also like today's webinar. And that's it for today. So again, thank you so much for investing your time with us. Your time is valuable and your retirement future is worth it. And we'll be back again here in a few hours. Until then, have a great rest of the day.